thinking.
Some departments probably do. No one in my office gets time and a half. Nobody in my office gets, what was the other one you said? My office gets what would be considered flex time.
Okay, so I just wondered how that would fit in with getting on, being paid through payroll. And that,
Because it's not run through, their budgetary line, it's running through a per diem line of the election. So they're still gonna get their 8 hours pay from the county for the courthouse
for the
being
holiday.
closed. Election pay is separate from county pay because of the account that it comes out of, and it's a per diem. So it's a set amount by the state.
Did you check with State Board of Accounts about that?
Yes. And that is
Because that's
exactly-
2 jobs
Yes.
from one entity,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
And that's usually not
And
allowed.
that's why they have to run it through as payroll, because they're already employed here.
Yeah.
They're already making $600 a year from the government.
Yeah,
So they have to run, yes.
yeah.
But
So
yes, they
They're
still
not
get
getting time and a
their,
half.
they're not getting time and a half. They're still getting their, whatever they would have made if they'd have been sitting in their seats.
Well, yeah,
But then election pay is different. It doesn't cloudy the water on that, because that was a question that was asked.
yeah. Should have been,
Because-
should have been,
Because
yeah.
a lot of us are like, we use a lot of our county officials
Yeah.
to work the polls.
Yeah.
And they said there's no
Okay,
problem with that, because it runs through a different account.
okay, and then about the complaint, I think it was stated that the election board isn't gonna take any action until after the lawsuit is settled through the court. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Did I get that right? And, then the action that would be taken would be addressing the actual complaints?
Correct, because the tort will be settled at that point. The lawsuit will be settled, or whatever the court decides, the court decides.
Yeah, yeah,
And then we'll pick up, and then we'll make a decision on the complaint itself.
on the issues in the complaint, okay. And then the other thing is that you voted, well, your attorney said that anything other than campaign finance, we'll say that, things
He
that.
said in general.
In general, right. And then everything else is a referral to the prosecutor's office. But you voted to take no action until after, so are you waiting, would you be referring to the prosecutor's office?
If we
Because you didn't
decide-
say anything about that.
Yeah, because we haven't made a decision on what we're gonna do. But we're not gonna make that decision until after the court makes its decision, so one doesn't affect the other.
Okay. So you wouldn't go ahead and make a decision about the complaints? I mean, you guys have already reviewed the campaign finance reports,
Right.
but there are some questions there still. One candidate has listed a company as giving a donation, contribution, and that company does not seem to exist. And I think Sharon told me that there was a form that they have to fill out to say who it was. And I,
Yeah, on the campaign finance report,
Yeah.
if it's over a certain dollar amount, they have to put, which you guys have seen that too, they have to put the name of the business, what the business does, and what they gave, whether it was an in-kind, cash.
and I don't think that happened.
Okay.
Did it?
I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to, so I don't know.
Okay.
I'm totally in the dark, because I hadn't heard anything about that.
Well, I just looked at the campaign finance reports, and I looked at the businesses, and I went to the State Board of, the Secretary of State's website to do a business entity search. And this one business is not listed there. And there's no name listed for the business. And
Okay, so your question is, Do they have to list the name of the person that owns the company?
I think you told me that they do,
I believe
So
that is
that-
what the paper states.
so that you know that one person isn't exceeding the amount they can give or whatever that is.
Yeah, I believe that is on the top of the CFA form. You
But-
have to-
But did
I
they?
guess we're gonna need to see, we'll have to look at that particular.
You already
because-
looked at it.
Well,
You already approved that report.
okay, but
And-
apparently we didn't catch it.
Well,
We
I'm
didn't.
kind of thinking,
So,
but maybe
I'm
you
glad
did and
brought
I
it to our
just,
attention.
well, maybe you did and I just didn't
So
catch
just-
that you did.
Just so that you know, individuals aren't limited, so, that individual, the owner of that business, didn't have to put their business name at all, they could have just put their personal name, and there is no limitation.
I think they did. And then they put a business name too.
Well, that's.
But it's not a business. I mean, that would be the kind of thing that you guys would investigate, right?
Cause
Yeah.
then we would have to look at that and say, if it came from personal funds, from a
Mhm.
personal checkbook,
Mhm.
then there's no problem, because whether they put the business name on there or not, it came from personal funds, and
Mhm.
there's no limit on personal donations.
But when you looked at that in a meeting, wouldn't you kind of comment on that and
If we knew.
make
that-
it
But if we knew that.
public?
But if we didn't know that the company didn't exist, how would we,
How, well,
and we didn't take the time to go through and.
Don't you?
You did. Not usually, I mean, if,
okay. I mean, it kind of seems like you would, just because,
so Deb, what we're looking for is, there's a company's name on the form, and I'm looking to see if they've exceeded the donation
Mhm.
requirements
mm-hmm,
for a corporation.
mm-hmm,
So if that amount doesn't exceed, there is no violation. I don't care if it's an individual or if it's a business, there's no violation.
I'm gonna do that to see if they-
Okay. So she's gonna grab the form so that we know what to
I
look
see.
for. Um,
well, and I don't think it has to be, I mean, I wondered if that's the type of thing that you would be looking at, when you were
look-
looking at the campaign finance
At least for
reports.
me, I'm looking at, if they list a business name or corporation, does it exceed the limit? And if it doesn't exceed the limit, it wouldn't matter if the company existed or not, in my opinion. Because if the company didn't exist, then it just goes back to the individual that says they own that company.
And there's no limit,
There are plenty of people in this county, I can guarantee you, that have company names.
oh, I know, yeah,
That don't register them with the state.
yeah.
So that individual may have said, I don't want to put my name on there, but you can put my business name.
But there's no limitation on a personal,
Yeah, but maybe they didn't want
okay,
anyone to know that they donated to that person's campaign.
I see.
I can guarantee it was none of my businesses, because I don't
I'm
donate.
not talking about you. I know.
Because I don't want to muddy the waters, I don't want
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
making accusations, so
Yeah.
I just don't
Yeah.
donate at all.
Yeah, I just was looking and I thought, gee, wouldn't they have talked about this? And I didn't know, cause you guys didn't talk about it.
Yeah, when you go through, I mean, you've been here when we go through those forms.
Yes, I have.
There's a lot of them, and so I'm mainly looking at limit violations. And I could be wrong, that it matters, maybe it does matter that the company name is not legitimate, but I don't know why it would.
I don't know why anybody, well,
They have their own reasons,
So
but
are you talking, corporation, or,
because I think it specifically says corporation, so if it's a DBA, that's not a corporation.
mm-hmm,
So even if they put, Drew's poop picker upper, my nephew does that for a living, so.
okay,
Even if that was the company name, and I'm doing, like, Sandor Tech is not a corporation, it's a DBA.
oh, it is,
So,
I never looked yet, yeah,
so if I went over, it would just come back on, it's linked to my personal social security number.
mm-hmm,
So that comes back 100% on me as an individual. So that's not a corporation. It's mainly, the statute gives a lot of examples, and one of those is a CEO goes to a political fundraiser and he wants to donate $10,000 to this, but he doesn't wanna pay for it himself, so he has his secretary cut a check for $10,000 as a CO. He can't do that. So that's the kind of things we're trying to catch.
Okay, I didn't know, and I thought this was the place to ask.
Okay, so if it's contributed by an individual, they have to have their full name, occupation, and mailing address if they contribute more than $1,000 personally. If it's a corporation, that is,
I wanna say it's in 5,000.
no, over $100 per contributor. So if it's a corporation, it goes on, and that's asking for the contributor's full name and full mailing address. So that, to me, says that they should be listing Drew Sandora, Sandora Tech, blah, 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 blah.
If it's a corporation.
Yes,
So in
If
your
it's a
previous
corporation.
example, Sandor Tech is not a corporation, it's just an EDA.
okay. So, yeah,
And again,
I
Sandor
don't
Tech
know
does
that
not
it-
make any donations. Neither does
I
Grove.
mean, I don't know what other,
So if I gave to a campaign,
oh, well,
Under-
would that be considered, because then there's another one back here that says list only contributions by organizations other than corporation, labor, political, action, or individuals. So would a DBA not fall under that?
Yeah, as an
Mhm.
individual, so if it's over $100, then my name would have to go on a contribution if it's over $100.
And your name and full mailing address is required. So
Correct.
that's a totally
But
different
I think what
form.
she's talking about, this business apparently doesn't exist at all, so it's definitely
It-
not a corporation.
it's not a corporation, or at least
But-
it's not
but if
incorporated in
an LLC,
Indiana.
Or if it,
That's a corporation. It's
but
just
if it's a doing business as or whatever, then that should go on this page,
Mhm.
and they're required to put
And,
that.
and it is, but her question is, they put the contribution, they put a company name that doesn't seem.
But did they
to
file it
exist.
under a corporation, under the,
Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
She's questioning
Yeah.
why we didn't catch it, and I guess what I'm saying is, even if it were a corporation, which it can't be because it's not registered, even if it were a corporation, it didn't exceed the limitations for a corporation. And for a DBA that's not a corporation, there are no limitations.
okay, so
But wouldn't you
yours
want the
goes
name
back-
of the people who were
So
contributing?
you're not questioning whether or not it was,
Oh, yeah, you're right, it should have,
And there
so
aren't.
you're saying on that form, it just has a company name, but no person. Okay, so I see what she's saying.
okay, so it says that's part of the question, and then the other part is the amount that they can give?
Yeah, that's always confusing to me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so,
So in that,
so I missed some of the conversation, but the gist of it, you're not questioning the amount necessarily that they gave, just that they not put down the required elements in order to be,
Well, you don't know
A
what you
contributor.
don't know what it is. I mean, you don't
So
know
you
if
don't
it's.
know who the
You don't know.
person is.
Yeah, and you don't know
So-
who
So we
contributed.
could add- If,
so is that something that we can go back and,
I would think we'd ask
I
them to
mean-
modify it.
is it?
I was thinking that too.
Is it something that we have to have something written, or can we say it's been brought to our attention that this has not been filled out properly?
How would we would
That-
have, we
I
should
know.
handle it as we did, I'll just give the example, when Tony was missing something on his form, we asked him to modify it, they gave
Amend,
it-
not
amend,
modify.
Yes, amend, and then he came in and did it, he had a certain amount of time, we need to follow that procedure.
Okay, so
Would you
we're
agree, Cindy?
treating it,
Yes.
we're gonna treat it as only because that's the definition, a defective report. So we're gonna start that whole process over. We notify him, he has 10 days to fix it.
Well, you gotta look at it first.
Right.
I
Right,
mean, you
well, that's
don't
what-
take
no,
my
no.
word for it,
No,
you know?
that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. If that, we're gonna start at that process again.
Yes.
So he has 10 days to fix it. If he doesn't fix it within the 10 days, then once we determine that it needs to be amended. Is that what?
So I'm still in the dark
Is that what
on
I'm
who this
gathering?
person is, but it sounds like you already know. Cause you keep saying he, but we don't know
Well,
that it's a he,
I
or
don't
at least I don't know that it's a
think we
he.
had any
Did you have any
sheets.
women running?
I don't think we had any sheets. I'm like, and I say he,
Okay,
Yeah.
alright, I just, I
yeah.
got the impression
I mean,
you already knew.
no,
who we
I
were
talked to
talking
my
about.
girls and I'm like, hey guys, and they're girls, so it's, yeah, that's a bad habit and I need to break that.
Okay, so why don't we,
So should we look at
Well,
all
then-
of them again and make, I mean, but how are we gonna know if it's a, okay, we don't need to know if it's a corporation or not, we just
I
need to
assume
make
Ned's
sure
went
that
through
it's.
them all. Or did you look at that one particular person?
I'm thinking
did my
we don't need-
best.
We don't need to look and verify that they're actual corporations, per se. We just need to make sure that
That
all of
there's
it's
your
filled
name.
out correctly.
Right.
Yeah, because, I mean, I
And
can
I-
see where we have to go through and see.
That's what I was
who's
gonna
legal
It's
and
been
who's
a
not.
I mean, she brought it to our attention, we need to at least pull the one that she found.
is in reference to.
And refer to it, have it amended. I don't think anybody is doing anything purposely. And again, I don't know who this person is, what report it was. I don't think anybody's trying to pull anything, it just ain't filled out right.
Okay. And see that, and that's where I struggle with my job, because they stress and stress and stress and stress and stress. We are not the filing police. We are to take whatever document you give, and then I think as a board, then we scrutinize it.
Right.
Because I don't want that coming back that, well, I let them file that, so, I don't think the buck stops here, because you're turning this in as factual. If you're doing something that's not,
I don't think.
I don't wanna say
anybody's
right, I don't wanna say factual. If you're turning incomplete, if you're turning something in that's not incomplete, I don't know that it's incomplete.
Because they don't necessarily turn it into you, it might be one of the other girls in the office.
Well, yeah, when I say,
Yeah, right. And nobody,
my
I don't
girls
think
file
anybody's
stamp
blaming
it,
you for this.
my girls file stamp it, time stamp it, and give them a copy. And that's pretty much all I do. I don't go through it page by page to make sure their numbers add up, and I don't do all of that.
Okay.
I
So-
think if that needs to be done, that's a board thing. I don't have the
Thanks for
time.
bringing it to our attention, we'll pull that,
I appreciate it.
we'll pull that and we will ask it to be amended.
If we,
If we see that it's.
Yeah, look at, yeah.
okay, let me see. I'm gonna probably need some of your notes on this.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get that all wrote up right, so.
Was that your third one?
I'm kinda thinking it was the
Okay.
fourth one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you added one.
Well, I kinda stopped in the middle and then went back, yeah.
So you might have brought it up when do you have the dates of the early electing and polling sites for November and October?
Yeah.
I mean,
It'll be the same.
If you got them, I'll get them later.
I don't physically have it right, this is what was sent out in May.
Right, but do you have it over your office?
Oh, that was just for the primary, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
just the primary.
That's
Do you
right.
have- do you
So,
have it for?
They really
I mean, I
want
have
to.
the calendar, I just have to
That's all.
put all
just-
the,
so I can
yeah,
write
you
down the
should,
dates.
you should have the calendar as well, but I can give you another
I got,
calendar.
yeah, Sandy gave me a calendar.
Yeah, so it'll be on there when early voting starts.
Right, but
Yeah.
do you have the polling places on the
There-
Saturdays and those dates?
Same places.
He's asking to schedule
Um,
per polling location.
I have not called to make sure they wanna keep the Saturdays that they're on. So the locations are going to be correct, I just don't know if they're gonna flip back to a different Saturday.
Okay.
This year they changed because there was a conflict.
Well, when you get it, just email it to me,
Okay,
and then I need to try to start getting polling people earlier than I did.
Right. Cause it's not as easy as it once was.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't as
I mean,
efficient as I wanna be.
I've got a city town clerk already calling me and wanting to know how much the election's gonna cost for next year. I don't know.
Just say 2 mil. That ought to cover it.
I don't know, and I won't know until after the election. After the votes are counted, that's when I'll know how much you owe. So,
The other question, are you gonna have people go through training again?
yes, we will do training again.
For everybody?
Yes.
That's mandatory.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to do it a little different. We're really trying really hard to get a video put together so that it's more visual, but I haven't,
And they can review it.
yeah, but I haven't got. This time of the year is very busy with clerk conferences and stuff, so I'm not in the office very much, so I'm trying to talk to some other clerks and see how they do it. And they're sending me packets of stuff that they do, so I'm kinda going through them and picking out what I like and discarding the stuff that will never work for Carroll County. So,
Hey, on that note, did you ever get your VCRS, whatever, no, maybe that's not the right
the
one.
county portal,
Yes.
I am not on the county portal yet.
No, your access to the election data. You were having trouble getting access.
Oh, for election day, the election day vote history?
No, for the ballots, getting that, what is that system that you have to log
Yeah,
into?
SVRS county portal. I am not on SVRS county portal.
Okay, still not.
We believe we have found a way around that, I just have to create a personal email address.
Are you feeling bad, Sharon?
I'm feeling like I don't know what else to try here, so I'm just gonna create a personal email
Is
that's
this-
only used to log me in.
Is this the state?
It's the state,
It's a state,
yep.
so you talked to maybe Mundo and he can't.
I've talked to everyone, and they've sent me, I don't even know now, I've lost count of how many invitations, it's well over 30.
That's it.
Yeah, it's well over 30 links, and I can't log in. They said I could log in incognito. Randy will not let me log in incognito, because he says that's not how we do things in Carroll County, so.
Oh, using the incognito
Mhm.
browser.
So, at conference, I'm not the only clerk. So at conference, they suggested making a Gmail account or a Yahoo account.
Just use it.
And just so you have that different email, cause it's fighting, the election site is fighting with my child support.
Oh,
So if I can log on to one, I can't access the other one ever again. And I have to log into my iSense. I have to log into my county portal too. But right now, someone in my office goes in and checks it for me. So they can get into it.
okay,
So-
so at least.
So
somebody
I'm
in your
seeing
office-
what's in there, I just can't go in there and do it
That was
myself.
my concern, as long as you have access, because.
Yeah,
I was going to recommend, if you still didn't have access in the fall, just to be sure you could contact White County and have them tell you if there was.
yeah, that's who I was using at first, they would send me weekly.
Okay.
Whatever was in there, they were attaching in an email and sending it to me. But I believe we've got it, Randy wasn't here yesterday, so next time he's in, which might be next Wednesday and I'm gone, but I'm gonna have him just set me up a regular, and then we're gonna try to get into it and see if that works
Okay.
before I put a lot of time and effort into it, because
He should be, well.
I'm not so convinced that it's
there'd
gonna
be
work.
additional cost, but
So-
he should be able to set you
Well-
up another account.
And I'm not gonna do that, because it's like $139 a year, and I'm not gonna do that. I'll just do a Gmail account, and it's strictly for them to be able to send the link to that email. That's what I need, because every email they're sending it to is picking up that other website,
Okay.
so it won't let me have access.
Well, I guess we need to do this, cause Deb's out of memory. camera.
No, I'm not.
I
Just
said,
kidding.
one more
I have 250 gigs on this baby.
Did, our mileage get turned in? Oh, yes. Have you been out at yours?
I know, I just changed I forgot I needed
Okay.
to change my bank account.
It just
so-
dawned on me the other day, I thought, I don't remember getting that. Usually it's just. a
Yeah,
check.
yours would have been a check.
Yeah, just a check.
Well,
Oh, is it separate? I always thought it was
Usually
just
I
lumped
get it,
in.
usually I get it in the mail.
Okay. Oh. She just told me.
How do you get-
Jan just told me that it's direct, cause I changed my account, and so she said the next check that I get will be paper check, and I'll need to come in, and if I don't pick it up on payday, after, I forget, 48 hours, or whatever, she drops it in the mail and sends it, so that might be the case, why you got the check form the last time, but I've never got a check from her, which it just always was direct deposit.
okay, check on mileage. So you don't know if you've gotten yours, but you
No.
don't think you have.
I know I got the election day
I got
pay.
my election pay.
I just assumed that was included in
I got the election pay, but usually the mileage is
it, it's separate.
different.
Okay, maybe I didn't get it, I just didn't know.
Well, I can tell you that it was turned in, because I turned mine in, and I've gotten mine.
Okay.
So that's a little concerning.
Unless she has included it, you know, altogether.
Okay,
I'll double check, cause again, it got sent to an old bank account, I still have the account open, I just don't use it. So I just noticed that election day, the money was in there, cause the account just surged one day, and I thought, oh, I didn't think I had hardly anything in there, I was trying to run it down so I could close it, and then all of a sudden there's $400+ in there.
okay. I will check on that.
Okay. Any more questions? All right, so. Sandy,
Oh, sorry. Make motion we adjourn.
I'll second that motion, all in favor?
I-
Aye.